They thought it was their Uber. But the driver was the black sedan glided up to the Las Vegas hotel where Elizabeth Suarez was waiting to take an Uber home after a night of gambling. She recalled she had done it countless times. But that night in July, that's when he said, "Give me your wallet, give me your phone, give me everything you have," Ms. Suarez, 28, said. On busy streets outside bars or clubs, people often hop into a car without a second thought. But the killing of there have been at least 24 such attacks in the past few years, according to a tally of publicly reported cases, including instances where suspects have been charged with attacking multiple women. In Connecticut, these attacks turn a simple mix-up into a nightmare, showing how easily bad actors can exploit the vulnerabilities of a ride-sharing culture that so many people trust to get them home safe. When getting into a ride-share vehicle, the drivers troll nightclubs and bars late at night to find people scanning the dark for their ride, according to law enforcement descriptions of the assaults. They wave to passengers. The attacks represent a tiny fraction of the millions of uneventful rides that Americans hail every day. But Ms. Josephson, "It could be any one of us," said Kate Lewis, a junior at the University of South Carolina, where Ms. Josephson had been a senior about to head to law school. Have you had a scary experience with what you thought was a ride-share driver? Please. State lawmakers in South Carolina have proposed a law named for Ms. Josephson that would require all ride-share drivers to display a lighted sign from their company. Her father. At the University of South Carolina, students have started a new safety campaign that urges riders to ask, "What's my name?" to ensure they are talking to their actual ride-share drivers before getting into a car. Students described the campaign as one constructive action they could take amid a week of stunned grief and candlelit vigils, after the police announced on Saturday that they had found Ms. Josephson's body in the woods 70 miles away. She had last been. The security footage of those moments is haunting as Ms. Josephson gets into the back seat. There are people everywhere, tapping on their phones, hugging one another's shoulders, enjoying the night. The police charged Nathaniel David Rowland, 24, with kidnapping and killing Ms. Josephson. They said they had found. Mr. Rowland has not entered a plea, and his lawyer declined to comment. He was not an Uber. Everyone at Uber is devastated to hear about this unspeakable crime, Grant Klinsman, a company spokesman, said in an email. We spoke with the Uber sent a message to its users on Thursday advising them to match the license plate, car make and model and to check the driver's photograph before taking a ride. In the wake of reports of Ms. Josephson's death, Carla Westlund, 30, thought once again about the night in 2017 when she was raped in Los Angeles by a man she mistakenly thought was her Uber driver. She said she felt he had an Uber sticker, she said. He was pretending to. After 3 hours in his car, Ms. Westlund said she was able to convince the man to let her go outside her boyfriend's house, and she immediately reported the attack and went to the hospital. Ms. Westlund, I felt like I was definitely being treated like I did something wrong, she said. She now volunteered. In February 2018, Nicholas Morales was arrested and with raping her and 6 other women by posing as a ride-share driver. He pleaded not. Uber and Lyft have been criticized for not adequately their drivers or doing enough to ensure passenger safety, which has led to temporary on the services in some cities. A found that Uber said it has worked with law enforcement since 2017 to how to avoid imposters. It urges people. Uber and Lyft also distribute glowing dashboard lights in some markets called the AN that change color to match a hue on a passenger's app. The lights are in limit. Harry Campbell, a driver for Uber and Lyft who hosts a podcast called, said it was common for people to hop into the wrong car in the crush outside bars, airports, games, or concerts, where hundreds of people are jostling for their cars. These sorts of mistakes are happening all the time, Mr. Campbell said. But there are some bad. It is not hard to fake, safety experts and law enforcement authorities said. Knockoff decals and light-up signs saying Uber and Lyft are easy to buy from major online retailers. Imposters trawl, they're taking advantage of an individual who's intoxicated and doesn't have all their senses. They're going to identifying the attackers can also be difficult. Unlike actual the driver who abducted and robbed Ms. Suarez in an empty parking lot behind a grocery store early that morning in July 2018 still has not been arrested, though police said the investigation was active. Ms. Suarez escaped by jumping out of his moving car. She cracked her skull. She decided to speak out about the attack, posting photos of her injuries on social media and talking to a local. Some people Ms. Suarez said she believed that the man who attacked her was not there by coincidence that night. He was waiting for the right person, she said. He knew exactly.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot bar. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the